And welcome to another episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. I'm your host, Noah Love, and today we have a lot of football talk to get into again for the second day in a row. Uh, it's Big Ten Media Day. We will go over the expectations for Oregon and Ohio State as Dan Lanning and Ryan Day take the stand. We will also be talking about NFL training camp, some of the top stories. Kyler Murray or JJ McCarthy, who should get the QB1 role in Minnesota. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about Atlanta. Boy, we'll get into that. We'll also be talking Cowboys, and we'll also be talking about the ACC in preseason poll and the Big Ten preseason poll. All right, let's get into it on the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Here today, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Okay, Big Ten Media Day 2. Dan Lanning, Ryan Day, they got up there, they spoke. Um, but the expectations for, let's start with Oregon. I mean, they're really the same. They're the same that they've been. I think last year, them getting to the national semifinal was kind of it was a successful year. And the reason I say that, and I know Oregon fans will be like, no, some Oregon fans will be like, no, some will be like, yes, but the way it ended, we got stomped. I get all of that. Okay. The reason I say last year was a success was because you 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 won two playoff games. You were in the national semifinal. That's the year before you got smacked in the quarterfinal after winning the Big Ten. You were a younger team. You had a young quarterback with just young DBs. Um, you were just a younger team in general. You bring a lot of those guys back with that year vi- of experience, and then you're stacked this year. I thought the year I thought 2024, the year they went undefeated, won a Big Ten title game, lost in the Rose Bowl to Ohio State, who ended up winning national championship. And their expectation that year was to be one of the final four or be, in that national championship game. And they fell just short. And they fell short. Played their worst game of the year, the worst time. This year, the expectation is to win a national championship. That's the expectation there I think in that program. You you got Dante Moore, who came back, who look, he could have went to the draft, been the number 2 pick. He did, and he came back. Came back for an extra year. Bought you an extra year. You obviously got good receivers. You bring back your young corners. You got one of the best defensive lines in the country. Oregon this year has the potential to play in the national championship game and win a national championship. Now, how many years have we said that about Oregon? How many years have we said that about Oregon? Recently, multiple years. We felt like they've had a good enough team to where they can make a run, and it didn't happen. So I so to me, the key, you would then ask, what is the key? How does Dan Lanning get over this hump, and how do they in Eugene win a national championship? Well, I look at a couple things. I look at the quarterback. And Dante Moore, I think he was good. I think he's got to be better than what he was last year. truthfully. I think last year, he was young, made some mistakes, but to me, they got to be better in the trenches. Let's be honest about last year. I know they didn't play Ohio State, right? Because Indiana and Ohio State, I think, were the two clear best teams in the Big Ten last year, right? So I know they didn't play Ohio State. But Oregon, if you look at, they only lost two games last year, and they were both to Indiana. The trenches, they got killed in the trenches. I've got their in that. I don't think that happens this year because I do think they are a better team. I they're going to be better in this. I got their schedule up here. Look, first 3 weeks: Boise, Oklahoma State, Portland State. They're going to go 3-0. Then they're at USC September 26th. Big. They got a bye. They got UCLA, Nebraska at home. They got at Illinois, Northwestern at home. Then it gets real that next 2 weeks because you're at Ohio State, which will be one of the games of the year. It will be one of the games of the year in the Big Ten because you're going to Ohio State, and in Ohio State they play Indiana, which we'll get into Ohio State in a minute. But then you play Oregon at home this year. The first year you got them on the road at Michigan State, with Wisconsin at home. Okay. I'm looking at this schedule. Can Oregon go undefeated? Yes. Will they go undefeated? I could see them being an 11-1 team. I could see them dropping at Ohio State. Just because Ohio State, great program. I know people will get on Day and talk about, well, Day hasn't been great in big games, but he's been really good at home in big games. So I think that's could be a loss. The worst case scenario here is you go 10-2, losing at USC and at Ohio State. But I believe they 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 could go 12-0. I fully expect them to probably be playing for a Big Ten championship. If they don't, it's probably because either Indiana went undefeated again, and they got in, or the technicalities of one loss. Either way, I expect them to be playing for a national championship, whether it's against Ohio State or Indiana. That's kind of just why I expect the Big Ten title game to be with this at this rate. And now in the playoff, you have to ask yourself this question. Look, Landing's been in the playoff twice. He was the number one seed. And sure, you can. And look, we had problems with the format the first year, but they faced Ohio State in the Rose Bowl, got wrong. Straight up, got wrong. Wasn't even close. It was over by the second quarter. All right. And then you go into this past year. I told you I feel like, them getting there was good. What was very good for them, and because they were a younger team, and I don't think they were as good last year. They beat JMU. They went on. They beat Texas Tech, but they got robbed by Indiana again. And even as an Indiana fan, did I expect us to win the game? Yes. Did I expect us to win it like that? I mean, they got systematically whipped on all three phases. People say both sides of the ball, all three phases. And so I think with Indiana winning a national championship, and that's obviously the first in their program history. Oregon hasn't won one. Oregon hasn't won one, and so them seeing that, I think people are going to look at landing the boosters like Phil Knight are going to be like, "Hey, you've got the financial backing, you've got the talent. When are you going to go get it done?" Especially in a 12-team CFP era. And so I think this will be a year that they very much can get it done, and I think that's the expectation. Now, let's go to Ohio State. What is the expectation for the Buckeyes? It's obviously competing for a national championship. They bring a lot back, right? Julian Sayans coming back. Obviously, Bo Jackson, the stud freshman running back. You obviously have you Jeremiah Smith coming back, Brandon Ennis coming back. They bring back some guys on the offensive line. They they've got a very tough schedule, but Ryan Day, the expectation at Ohio State, they don't care. You should always be competing for a national championship. I don't care about that tough schedule. And I'm just gonna highlight some of the tough games because they have a tough one. They've got Texas on the road in week 2. Right. Then on October 3rd, they're at Iowa. People will be like, at Iowa, that's a tough game. Is it a game they should win? Yes, but that could be one of the scares of the season going on the road to Iowa. They go on the road to Indiana October 17th, which is one of the games of the year. Then they've got a bye. Then they've got back to back big ones. On the road at USC, at home against Oregon. And then they obviously have the game uh at the end. So they play realistically they play I think they play potentially 3 of the best 5 teams in the country outside of themselves. They play Texas, they play Oregon, and they play Indiana. So, and this is last year, people talked about their schedule and how it was kind of easy. They beat Texas in week 1, and it wasn't that good, but then they kind of cruised the rest of the season. If you're a believer in that, they ain't cruising here. This is a tough Big Ten schedule. Tough. De- defensively, uh, they lost a lot of guys to the NFL, right? So, but Ohio State's one of those programs that can just reload. So I'm not really too worried about that. No Brian Hartline anymore. He's the USF coach. He was also calling plays last year, so you wonder, will Ryan Day be calling the plays? Will this year? Will the new offensive coordinator be calling the plays? I think in these big games, sometimes they could get too conservative, right? So that is going to be a big deal. But there's not much else to say about Ohio State. They're loaded and they play a tough schedule, but the expectation is for them to be playing for a Big Ten championship and playing for a national championship and winning both of those games. But let's keep it on the Big Ten because the Big Ten preseason media poll came out. We'll go from bottom to the top. 18th they got Purdue, 17th they got Rutgers, 16th they got Michigan State, 15th they got Maryland, 14 Northwestern, 13 UCLA, 12 is Wisconsin, 11 is Nebraska, 10 is Minnesota, 9 is Illinois, 8 is Iowa, 7 is Washington, 6 is Penn State, 5th is Michigan, 4th is USC, 3rd is Indiana, 2nd is Oregon, and first is Ohio State. So Ohio State is picked to win the Big Ten. Um, kind of how I expected it to fall. If I can be completely honest, that's how I expected it to fall. To be honest, but the obviously Kurt Cinetti's gonna see this, and maybe they won't need bulletin board material. Because they're gonna come out and play any anyways. But that will be something in Kurt's mind, back of his mind. Maybe he won't admit it now, but if they win another Big Ten championship this year, he'll for sure talk about it. Um, yeah. So that there's nothing really surprising there about the preseason poll. Ohio, they got Ohio State and Oregon in the Big Ten title game, and a lot of people are picking Ohio State. Um, so I get that. Let's go to There's obviously three other Power Four preseason polls we want to get to. We'll go to the SEC. We'll start from bottom to first. 16 Arkansas, 15 Mississippi State, 14 Kentucky, 13 Vandy, 12 is Auburn, 11 is South Carolina, 10th is Missouri, 9 is Florida, 8 is Tennessee, 7 is Oklahoma, 6 is Alabama, 5 is LSU, 4 is Texas A&M, 3 is Ole Miss, 2 is Texas, 1 is Georgia. Georgia being number 1, I can see. I Georgia being number 1, them picking to win that. A lot of people picking them to win the SEC. Yeah. Texas being second, okay, with the roster they have, yeah. I honestly, after that, think 3 through 7 is a crapshoot. It's a complete crapshoot. Maybe even 8, because I think Tennessee's going to be one of those teams that can sneak up on you. So like 3 through 8, it's a crapshoot. I I don't know. I can obvious I could see there is a world where I think Georgia's going to be in the SEC championship game again, right? But there is a world where I could see Ole Miss in the championship game, A&M, LSU, Bama, and Oklahoma all in the championship game because I think they're that good. Now, obviously, the schedule and these teams will play each other, so it dictates a lot of it, right? But this league, I talk about the depth, bro. 9 through, I would say, maybe 13. Don't really know what Vandy's going to look like, right? People are probably look. Vandy had a lot of talent returning last year. They did really good, 10-2. People think Clark Lee, it's maybe they're gonna go back down a little bit. Okay, South Carolina, Lenore Sellers still there. They've got a new OC. Shane Beamer's on the hot seat. Okay, Florida at ninth. I think for John Summerall in his first year, that would be a very well success. But there are people that are starting to get a little bit higher on Florida there in the SEC. But yeah, I just feel like 3 through 8 complete, 3 through 7 complete crapshoot. You can have any one of those combinations, and I just be like, yeah. The Big Ten, I feel like the top 5 teams, 6 teams are definitive, give or take a spot or two after number 1, after Georgia. And you'll talk to people and they'll tell you, well, they think Texas is better than Georgia. So, but you were asked, why is Georgia number 1? Why, on the preseason media post? Because if that game happens in the SEC championship game, nobody is picking Texas to win that game. They've played 3 times in 2 years, and Georgia's beating them 3 times. They blew them out last year. They controlled and dominated the first matchup in 24, and then they won the SEC title game thriller in 24 as well. So they really controlled the game, right? So that would be the reason. Texas, it's like, bro, Sark, Texas, Arch Manning, go do it. You have to go out there and go do it. Until we see you go do it, we're just going to continue to pick Georgia. Because Georgia has been in what? The last. I think they've been in what? The last 5 SEC championship games? They've been in the last 5. You got to think about this run Georgia's been on. They've been in the last, what, 5? The last time they missed out was 2020, which was Florida. Got it. And then before that, they made the SEC title game in 19 against LSU. They made it in 18 against Alabama, and they made it in 17 against Auburn. So, so yeah, going to Atlanta and winning in Atlanta is what they do. Now, let's go to the Big 12 here. We'll go 16 through 1. 16 Iowa State, 15 Colorado, 14 UCF, 13 West Virginia. Number 12 is Kansas. Number 11 Cincinnati. 10 is Baylor. 9 is Oklahoma State. 8 is Kansas State. 7 is Arizona State. 6 is TCU. 5 is Utah. 4 is Houston. 3 is Arizona. 2 is BYU. 1 is Texas Tech. This one, Texas Tech having that backup quarterback would be my only pause. BYU, I think is going to be really good again. Could win the conference. Um, After that, complete crapshoot. Like complete crapshoot. And when we get to the ACC, you're cause yeah, but no real problems with that. Yeah, no real problems with that. Oklahoma State, I think, could be a surprise team. I like Drew Mestamaker, the coach for North Texas. And in a league like this, there could be a team. They could be a team that really, after being real bad last year, jumps up and surprises a lot of people in the conference. It may take them a while to get going, but if they get going, that could be real good. Obviously, I could see Houston. I think Houston's got a really good team, and I think they could be in the Big 12 title game as well. Now we go to the ACC. 17 is Stanford, 16 is Boston College, 15 is North Carolina, 14 is Syracuse, 13 is Wake Forest, 12 is California, 11 is Florida State, 10 is Duke, 9 is Pittsburgh, 8 is Virginia Tech, 7 is NC State, 6 is Virginia, 5 is Georgia Tech, 4 is Clemson, 3 is Louisville, 2 is SMU, and 1 is Miami. Okay, I think Miami is the best team far and away. After that, it's a complete. I'm gonna say it again. Complete crapshoot. I don't 2 through, like, I would say maybe 11. This conference, It's so up in the air every single year. I can't even give outside of Miami winning the conference, I can't even give you a legit prediction. Like I think Virginia Tech under Franklin in year 1 could come up and maybe sneak into the ACC title game. I'm also looking at Clemson. I gotta see what Dabble and them's gonna do. You look at SMU, you look at Louisville, but Louisville late in the season, under Brom haven't been great. SMU number obviously they're picked to go to the ACC title game for it will be the second time in 3 years. I mean I don't know what you want me to say about the ACC. Obviously, the big storyline is Miami. Then after that, I think it's Mike Norvell and Florida State because there's a good chance if there's not huge improvement, he's getting fired. And the morale around that fan base and that program, the morale around the fan base doesn't seem good. But yeah, those are your Power Four preseason media polls. Big Ten, kind of predictable. SEC, kind of what I expected as well. Big 12 as well. ACC's just I mean they're all over the place. Now let's go to NFL. Let's go to the NFL here. Let's start in Atlanta. Tua is injured. Yes, Tua Tagovailoa as of right now to start camp is hurt. Tua is that dealing with a nagging issue that resurfaced. Michael Penix Jr. still isn't clear for full teamwork, as you expect, which leads to, in terms of first team reps, a Division Two kid named Jack Strand running the first team. Division Two kid taking reps for the Falcons. E- what do you want me to say? I should, and Tua will probably be ready, right? But it's just camp is off to a great start. I mean, what it's August. I mean, you don't got a lot of time here. Like we get it, we're the preseason really gets started here next week. That's the first game, and then the week after, I think everybody else starts playing. Right? Before you know it, it'll be September, right? And I don't want to like worry Falcons fans, but obviously Michael Penix not being cleared for one-on-one work, they have a Division Two kid taking snaps, right? Also, I just have to point this out. They did sign Cooper Rush for insurance. That quarterback room, Stefanski, that quarterback room, brother. It ain't that QB room. It ain't great. It ain't great. That QB room, it ain't great. That's all I'm gonna say. It's not great. Okay, it's not. It's not looking too good, right? So Falcons fans are panicking. Look, in this division, I think Tampa in a division where I don't know if New Orleans is there yet. I think I think Tampa, they're getting older. They're obviously having issues. People want to be traded out of there. I think Carolina, they got a lot better. So yeah, I think in that division, they still got a lot of talent. It's gonna be tough. Oh, and Bijan Robinson is holding in because they are both awaiting new because he is awaiting a new deal. So the Falcons training camp is off to a riveting start. Falcons fans, I just saw that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. That's all. That's all I got. I don't know. Like I get this ain't. It's not great, right? For the Falcons, not it. It's not. It's not. If you're a Falcons fan right now, you're just like camp. Ha- it just started. What is happening? But Atlanta, I do think. Look, they'll get a deal done with Bijan. They'd be stupid not to. They'll get one, and he'll be out there. He'll be out there week one, I think. And the quarterback situation is what worries me. But I do think, look, Tua will be out there because I don't think Penix is going to be cleared to go. And yeah, I think Atlanta. I think come week one, you'll be fine. All right, you will be fine. Now let's go to Minnesota, where it's a Kyler Murray and JJ McCarthy are splitting reps in terms of who will be the quarterback one this coming season. The quarterback one I think, will be Kyler Murray. And I think this because Kevin O'Connell is going to be like number one, who gives us the best chance to win? I think in that system, they think it'll be Kyler. But also, JJ McCarthy, with the amount of stuff that went down in the offseason about why the GM got fired and how Kevin didn't really believe that JJ McCarthy was ready, right? So, and look, how we- I don't know how ready JJ would be in year two. You obviously got to watch preseason and see like the improvements he's made or the strides he's made. But I'm I think Kyler Murray is going to win the job, and I think he probably gives them the best chance to win. Truth be told, that I think in that system with Addison and with Hawkinson and with Jefferson, I think he's the quarterback. And I want to make this clear: this division's wide open. I think any of the four teams, if you told me, A, they won the division, I wouldn't be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if Chicago won it. Wouldn't be shocked if Detroit won it. Wouldn't be shocked if Green Bay won it. Wouldn't be shocked if the Vikings won it. And then you obviously the defense to me for Minnesota is going to be really good this year. Again, it's about the quarterback, and I think who's gonna you. I think if you ask most Vikings fans too, they probably want uh Kyler Murray to be the quarterback one for this team because they are trying to win now. So yeah, I think I think he will be the quarterback one. Some Cleveland Browns news: Denzel Ward gets a contract extension, 2 years. I believe it's 62 million. 2 years, 62 million. That will make him the highest, if I can see here, that will make him the highest paid DB in NFL history. 2 years, $62.2 million deal. That's 31.1 million annually, and that's 52.3 million guaranteed. Big deal on the cornerback. Big deal on the cornerback market. Browns front office felt like they needed to keep him in. I think, and look, got it done. Now, that was just quickly, not much to say there. Lastly, well, we are going to be talking about the Cowboys. The Cowboys are the Cowboys championship contenders. Jerry Jerry Jones, it's about that time of year. He's back on the microphone. Right? He said this about making the team better. It says Cowboys owner Jerry Jones says he's willing to give up future picks to improve the team and revealed that he talked to another team about a potential deal. If my guess would be Max Crosby, in that if he could make a deal to get Max Crosby, who will be a legit pass rusher, that 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 will be huge. Jerry Jones also said competing for a title is not a reach. And here's the thing with Dallas. This is going to be a team that's going to be able to score a lot of points. They're going to be able to score a lot of points. I fully trust Schottenheimer offensively, the run game. I think is solid. I think obviously Pickens on the outside, CD Lamb offensively. Offensively, I trust that. Defensively, to me, is where the concerns would lie. They did draft Malachi Lawrence, who is a big time defensive end. You know how I feel about or they think he's a rookie that's gonna can produce right away out of UCF. You know how I feel about Caleb Downs and how I think he was one of the best players in the draft. Loved him at Ohio State. I think he is going to be able to come in at the safety position and be really good. They were able to sign Kobe Durant at corner. They got Rashawn Gary via trade from the Packers. So they got Jay Sean Barnum, third round linebacker out of Michigan. So Dallas, they really made a conscious effort defensively to get this roster better on the defensive side of the ball this this all season. But they're banking on rookies. They're going to be banking on rookies to really make a lot of plays and be good for them. And look, the Eagles did it in 24. Like they banked on Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. Like they banked on young players. No, I believe uh Zach Braun. Zach Braun. Excuse me. So they betted on a lot of rookies and it paid off. They won the Super Bowl. And I'm not saying that Dallas is going to win a Super Bowl, but can they be a playoff team? Time will only tell. I think defensively, they got a new defensive coordinator, right? When your defense is that bad, you have to overhaul everything, right? So I do believe, I do believe that if they can even be somewhat, if they can be above average defensively, I think that above average defensively, I think that's a good. I think that would make them much better, and that will take them from 7 wins to maybe about 10. And I think if you go 10-7 in this NFC, there's a good chance you're a wild card berth in the playoffs. This is going. They got a really tough schedule too, so I don't want to leave that out. But are they championship contenders? I would not go that far. I wouldn't. All right, everybody. This has been an episode of the Don't Argue with the Facts podcast. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And until the next time, see ya.